What's going on, guys? This is the 5 Year Pass podcast with me, Suddy, and this is Sham, and we're talking about the weekend's games. A bit late, but we're getting to it. It's been a busy weekend for both of us, so we'll start off with Premier League, man. But like lots of permutations. United bottling it again. Exactly what we said with Brighton. I mean, you're a big Brighton fan, soft spot for Brighton at least, and I mean, Man City doing the business, and I think the biggest highlight from the weekend was Jesse Lingard kind of consistently coming through with the numbers. He scored an assist in the weekend, I believe, and he had a great game overall, even though they drew 3-3. Bit of a bottling by West Ham, but I guess those are the big points, man. We'll start off with Newcastle. I mean, where are they in the league now? This puts them firmly in the relegation battle with their
They're
peers.
2 points off. They're 2 points off Fulham, and Fulham have a better goal difference. Not helped by the fact that they lost 3-0 here to Brighton. I picked 1-0, but everything just seemed to come together really well for Brighton. They played really well, particularly good going forward. We pointed out that they had difficulty scoring multiple goals in the game, but you could just see Newcastle, their heads kind of dropped a bit when they scored. So well, it was a really good win for Brighton. They just played proper football, and it was kind of one of those days where everything just comes together. So it was great for them. And they're now about, I think it's 6 points clear of the drop, which is really big.
They're fair bit of I think it's 5 points. No, you're right. It is 6 points. Yeah, it's a nice little cushion there. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, Burnley are just a point ahead of them. Burnley have got the ability to sort of grind out results and move their way up. And Brighton have sort of been at a similar level without necessarily getting the results behind them. But Brighton are getting there now. So you think that they're not necessarily safe just yet, but they are closer to Wolves in 13th than they are to Fulham in 18th. So it's a really good sign for them. They have three tricky fixtures coming up. So if they can get a couple of points here or there, that will help them. But I think they got a fairly soft finish to the season, and I think that should get them through.
I mean, I'm looking at the kind of Fulham, Newcastle, Brighton, Burnley. We'll say the four candidates to be relegated with the other two. I can't see Newcastle grinding out a string of 4 to 5 wins the way the Wiggins and the West Ham have done in the past. I just can't see that happening for Newcastle. I can see Fulham doing it, and I think Brighton may or may not do it, but I think they're quite safe now, as are Burnley. I just think Newcastle really fucked themselves hard this weekend with not just a loss. Like, a loss would have been okay, with a poor performance, man. And I think you've got to start. This was arguably the best lineup without Callum Wilson, fair enough, but it was a poor spirit, poor character and performance, and it was honestly unsurprising, sad to say, unsurprising for Newcastle fans. And they might be playing in the Championship next season.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't rule out Southampton either. Southampton are equal on points with Burnley, and they're not doing well at all. But you just feel Southampton's got a little bit about them. Just a win or two would just be enough for them. But there are teams that there always tends to be a team that just sort of falls into the relegation battle, and it looks like it's Newcastle. Like I said, don't rule Southampton out, but I'd hate to see something happen to Southampton. I think that they're having a bad run of it, but they're still good.
They look decent against Bournemouth, and Bournemouth is a kind of in between kind of team between the two leagues. They look decent. 3-0 win. They're in the quarterfinals. They give them a boost, man. They're only playing. They may play 1 or 2 extra games should they make the final, which is. They play Leicester in the. They were going to play either United or Leicester. Both teams have beaten them 9-0 in the last year, but it'll give them a bit of confidence going into league. Yeah, they're not. I mean, obviously, they're not going to find themselves in too much trouble, I think. But I think we kind of highlighted in the last video that sprinkle of that little bit of what I call like kind of Premier League winning quality in Welbeck, Lallana. Just kind of helps them. And Ben White, I think Ben White's a great player. I think he should be playing in a top 6-7 team. Just gives them quality to push on, and it's kind of hard to point out what do you think they need to push on to be kind of a mid-table side, a consistent mid-table side.
Right, yeah, I think it's just a bit more of that cutting edge. They show that they've got a bit of that with Welbeck had a really good goal. That was a really nice goal that he scored. but he's not had a big impact this season. Lallana's not had a big impact this season, and you see the defensive record: 36 goals conceded. So
That's
that's actually
decent,
pretty
man.
good. Yeah, like you look at it's the same amount of goals Liverpool have conceded. It's less than Everton. You know that
Mm,
it's a pretty decent record, but they've only scored 32.
yeah.
So just the ability to just get a few chances. Their striker, forgot his name. I think he's Turkish or something, isn't he?
Malpe, yeah.
Yeah, oh, he's French. Sorry,
Yeah.
he looks a bit like Black French, I suppose. Like he's got the
Yeah,
sort of dark features and
Like that
everything.
Arabic French looking player, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He hasn't had a great season for them. He's got a few
Mm,
penalties, but I haven't really
mm,
seen him do too much. So just an upgrade on the striker position and a bit more impact from like Welbeck's okay in patches. Lallana, I've seen the most noteworthy thing for me is that he's coming off the bench and playing. He's not necessarily starting games. So getting those
mm.
quality players, getting more time out of them, and just a bit more of a cutting edge, I think would make a big difference to them. Because the
Yeah.
structure of the team from the back, it's kind of that how you want to build a football team. At the back, they're good. It's just that going forward bit, that finishing touch that they need.
Yeah. And then just moving on to Newcastle before we get to the next game. I mean, I've kind of resigned to them getting relegated. But if you had to pick, let's say, two or three players you think could move on, stay in the Premier League with another club this season, is anyone that you're kind of particularly impressed with? Besides a John Joe Shelby, who I think will get a move. You know, he'll very easily get a move. To a Wolves or to that kind of club. You know, that need a bit of experience. But anyone else do you see to think that could kind of stay on and move up in their career?
Probably the two that I would think are Callum Wilson.
Hmm.
I think that there'll be a lot of teams looking to pick him up, potentially even. And this is like you could see a team like an Arsenal or a Liverpool getting him, knowing that
Hmm.
he'll start on the bench, like a bit of a Danny Ings type signing for Liverpool.
Okay. Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily rule that out. If he went to Arsenal, he'd be behind someone like a Zet, but he may not mind that. Um,
Hmm.
but I think he definitely go. He'll need to be a bit careful though. You don't want to keep going to teams and doing well and get relegated. So if he does
Hmm.
move, who he moves to is very important. And I love
Yeah.
Maximin, so I hope someone picks
Alonso
him up.
Maximin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, Matt Fraser as well, Ryan Fraser, who came from Bournemouth, um, perhaps made a good decision moving in the summer. Sorry, he moved last Jan. When did he
Oh,
move?
sorry, who are
Sorry,
you?
it was after the COVID break. Ryan Fraser, the left winger.
Mm.
He came from Bournemouth, 27 years old, very good player, very handy. Played into that. Um, he's very intelligent footballer for I wouldn't say for a British player, but you don't see these kind of British players are very kind of comfortable in the ball. Played in that with what's his name? What was Bournemouth's old manager's name? The young guy,
How? Eddie Howe?
Matt, Eddie Howe. Yeah, he played that kind of Eddie Howe branded football. They kept the ball well. That first season when they did really well. So
There was talk of
I quite
United
like him
buying
as
him
well.
last summer, if I remember correctly.
It was it was it was after COVID. And they were, oh, this is what happened. That's what it was. It was after COVID. Bournemouth were going they were hoping to escape relegation, and then Ryan Fraser said, "I'm not signing a new contract." So Eddie Howe said, "You're not playing, even though we might get relegated." It was a pretty big stance by him, and it didn't pay off. Not that he would have made a difference, who knows? But it was a big stance. And I thought it was a big moment for Eddie Howe, who I think could potentially take the Newcastle job should they go down. He's got the kind of chops for it. He's got the resume, in my opinion, and he could see him bring him back up. I think it could be a good option for them.
I think he's definitely got the chops, but you did talk about Mike Ashley liking Yes Man, and just what you mentioned about Eddie Howe dropping Fraser. That doesn't sound
Hmm.
a lot like a Yes Man, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. But look, overall, I think we come to the same conclusion here. It's not looking good for Newcastle. They have a tough run of fixtures, and let's see just quickly who do they have this weekend. Do you have it in front of you?
Next fixture, sorry for who?
Spurs, Burnley, another kind of six
Let's just pick
pointer.
Tottenham. Aston Villa, sorry. It's actually quite decent. But the next fixture's Tottenham. Oh, wait.
Yeah, so
Sorry,
yes,
Tottenham,
that's the thing.
Newcastle. Sorry, it's the next fixture.
That's only Newcastle's next few fixtures. So Spurs, Burnley, West Ham, Liverpool, Arsenal, Leicester, Man City. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, we talked about this last week. It's not looking good, man. So best of luck to them, I guess. Like, that's all I could
Yeah.
say, to be honest. Best of luck. We'll move on to the FA Cup. Oh, actually, before that, we'll stay in the Premier League. We're going to talk about West Ham Arsenal. That was a Premier League game as well. Big talking point here. Jesse Lingard just really allowed to express himself, man. You know, it's nice to see. It's really, really nice to see. We're talking about it. We seem to be talking about him every week, as many people are. We'll start off with the first half. An absolutely brilliant first half, and someone that you quite like in Suchek. I think he got no, he didn't get. I think he assisted Jesse Lingard, and he got a goal from himself. Um, they're a great team, man. West Ham, you know,
Oh yeah,
you're
absolutely.
you're getting they're winning 3 out of every 5 games. They're looking like a team that wants to score goals, wants to go forward, and it reminds me of that kind of late 90s West Ham side with Di Canio. Um,
Oh yeah,
has that kind of feel to the Harry Redknapp sides, um, and I think and the thing which I like the most about this, it's kind of a big redemption for Moyes, who had a tough time. I think he definitely had scars from the United job,
is
but
it?
we said before that a good manager doesn't necessarily have to be able to coach at United. A good manager could he's maybe not good enough for United, but that doesn't make him a bad manager. He's still a quality manager, and we've seen it in the last kind
Oh
of
yeah.
6 to 8 months.
One bad job doesn't define a manager. And I
Yeah,
mean, Di Canio, sorry, some really awesome memories there from Di Canio. Pretty good player
yeah.
for a fascist, like really good footballer. but,
I
but,
forgot he was a fascist. You know
yeah.
what? I'm still gonna forget. Fuck it.
It didn't mean anything back then. It would have been funny. It'd be interesting to see if he did the whole sort of kneeling knee thing in the modern day. That'd have
I
been
don't think he would have knelt. I don't think he would have knelt.
no. He
Uh,
actually he did do the salutes. I'm not gonna. I was actually, my
I
other
remember
colleague
when he
did do
went
the
when he
salute, but
went
I'm not
back.
gonna do it on video.
Yeah, when he went back to. I
Lazio,
remember after
yeah.
West Ham Lazio, and he did it there. Yeah, big,
Yeah.
big, big fascist. There's lots of stories. Actually, if you go online, listen to Harry Redknapp, who says like Di Canio gets kicked, and he comes in at halftime. He's like, I know play," and he just refuses to go back on. He's just so sick of the people kicking him. But yeah, no, this side reminds me of that. But it's interesting because any side going to West Ham is scared to go to West Ham now.
Oh
And
yeah.
a friend of mine who's a West Ham season ticket holder, Rick, he told me he was telling me back when I used to go watch games and I fly over to London from here, and he says the West Ham fans are the best in the world, but they're the harshest in the world. And maybe Moyes has been one of the luckiest people through COVID because the fans are not there
Yeah.
to kind of I wouldn't say halt the process, but to criticize the process in every way. And the fans coming back now, I don't see why things will get worse. It's only going to get better for them with the fans back.
Well, maybe now that the fans have had time to breathe and they can see shoots of growth, maybe they won't be so harsh. But there is
Yeah.
history there. I mean, like they were hard on Frank Lampard to the point where it was probably a contributing factor to him going to Chelsea.
Yeah.
And even the move to the stadium was not popular. Even
No.
the owners now, they deliberately, like it was two Sullivan and Gold, was it? The
Yeah, Golden
aiming
Sullivan.
as
Yeah.
fans to buy the club, but even they're not popular, you know. Like
Yeah.
they've done a good job, but they're not sort of universally acclaimed like other club owners, for example. Even though like their team's clear and fifth in the league, you don't hear a lot from them. But it's definitely 2 points dropped for West Ham. You're 3-0
Yeah.
up, and we
I
concede two own
agree.
goals.
Yeah.
Those two own goals that they conceded were probably going to be Arsenal goals anyway. It
Mm.
wasn't like calamitous mistakes. It was mistakes that they made under quite severe pressure from Arsenal. It was
Mm-hmm.
interesting to see the two sides of Arsenal because they were poor. First half, they were terrible. And
Yeah.
it's that Arsenal that you go, oh, here we go, you know.
Mm.
But when it was kind of like they just decided, well, we got nothing to lose, let's have a massive crack, and they actually looks like a good team in the second half.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know that might sound a bit patronizing. I don't care because if you play
Mm-hmm.
that badly in the first half and that well in the second half, you probably deserve to be patronized a bit. But
Mm-hmm.
that West Ham will see that as 2 points drop. Arsenal will probably see it as 2 points drop because they both played really well. Um, but Arsenal got to get to playing like that for 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty disappointing to see the way they folded, and Jesse Lingard seems to turn into Lionel Messi whenever he plays Arsenal. Like it's just I
Yeah.
don't know what it is, but he
Yeah.
finds something against them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he would have grown up historically watching what we watched, in the old Arsenal United battles of
Yeah,
the
Keen
early
Vieira and the
2000s,
Tizzle and all
Keane,
that. Yeah,
Vieira, Mr. Roy versus Martin Keown. Uh, the player I wanted to point out though is I thought Odegaard had a very good game. He seems to, I mean, you'd expect this of him. He wants the ball a lot. He moves well with the ball, and he doesn't give the ball away very often. And I see shades. shades of David Silva in him, where it's very hard for. Well, it's not very hard. He doesn't like losing the ball, so he moves well and he's giving easy options and he's giving and going. Um, I like Odegaard, man. He could be. He's on loan, I think, at the minute. I don't think he's
Yeah, he's on loan from
bought.
Real Madrid. He'll
And
go
it's
back.
dev.
There's no one of the criticisms of the transfer of Odegaard was that there was no buyback clause.
Okay,
Further
buy on clause. Yeah,
buy on clause. Sorry, not buyback. But
yeah.
the yeah, that was a bit of a shame that Arsenal didn't go ahead and do that. But maybe Odegaard didn't want it.
Yeah.
But you'd think that as well as he has played, because it was strange with Real Madrid. He last season he was on loan with Sociedad and it was supposed to be a 2-year loan deal. But
Mm-hmm.
when COVID happened, Real Madrid pulled the plug on the loan deal because they just
Mm-hmm.
wanted the extra body around. But he'd only
Mm-hmm.
played about, I think it was something like four games worth of minutes, so something like 360 minutes of football in the first half of the season. He goes, look, I want to go on loan. Wanted to
Yeah.
get himself ready for the Euros and stuff. So Zidane quite begrudgingly let him go. Funnily
Mm.
enough, Real Madrid are doing a lot better. It's not. I'm not saying that it's Odegaard's fault, but Real Madrid have clicked into gear.
Mm.
Karim Benzema is looking absolutely awesome at Real Madrid.
Yeah,
You can see
unreal,
the
isn't it?
games he's
Yeah.
scored now.
Yeah.
But they Real Madrid were struggling a little bit just with their identity, and they seem to have found it. It's kind of built around those sort of older Cruz, Modric, Casemiro,
Yeah.
Benzema type players. And
Yeah.
Courtois has gone back to being something about playing in Spain. I think just suits him because he was world class
Mm.
at Atletico, and he's now world class at Real. So um, I just think that Odegaard might actually need to start looking around a bit because Zidane doesn't seem. It's funny because he was one of the great number 10s, but his formations don't really seem to use number 10s.
Yeah.
Even when he won the Champions Leagues with Isco was kind of what we would call a roaming improviser. He didn't sit in the 10 spot. He was very much. Oh, when you look
Isco,
at Bruno
Isco.
Fernandes, he drifts into the half spaces, but Isco would drift all the way to the touchline. It wasn't just sort
Yeah.
of the half space that he drifted in.
I think in many ways Isco is what is a kind of a James Madison or what Jesse Lingard wants to be. Isco's kind of that perfect version of it when he was playing in those really good Champions League teams that Madrid won with.
Yeah.
Um,
And Odegaard's
Speaking
not
of
quite
Benzema as
that
well.
player. He's probably more in the Bruno Fernandes mold. Well, actually, David Silva's
Okay. Yeah.
probably a better version. So you'd almost think he could play almost like a free eight, anywhere from
Mm.
free eight to a 10 to a winger type of player.
Mm.
Not too dissimilar to Madison
Mm.
in that regard. So it's not that Odegaard's done badly. It's just kind of the ship's maybe sailed. And he's been at Real Madrid forever. I think 7 years he's been at Real Madrid, not really locked down a first team spot. So he probably needs to start looking at
It's
options,
probably been that long. Yeah.
given that he's probably not got a spot waiting for him at Real Madrid.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of Benzema, I just wanted to touch on that. He's on course for his best season ever. He's got 17 and 6 assists in 24 matches, about 10, 15 more to play. At the rate he's scoring, you're absolutely right, man. Like, it's every week he's in the headlines or something, and he seemed to be able to take that Ronaldo burden that I guess has been, left, which they never really recovered from. You could argue they have because they've won the league. They've won the league since Ronaldo left, haven't they? 2 years ago. The year he left, they won the league. Am I right to say that?
I'd have to check that. I'm not exactly sure.
Just give it a second.
You'd think they would because otherwise it'd be.
Well, yeah, no, sorry. They're the current champions. They won the league last season.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean.
Yeah, they had the shock. They had a shock of the year he left because it was kind of like
That's right.
they've
That's
been
what it
pushed
was.
so hard for so long. I think that was
Yeah.
the Ajax in the Champions League as well. That
Yeah.
was that year.
I mean, it could be Atletico's year this year, but Barcelona,
Sergio
Messi as well,
Ramos
has come.
really suspended himself and they lost that game.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Against Ajax. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Um, so, yeah, look, as we said, West Ham's done well. Arsenal, good to come back, but there's still questions about the team. Just like it's a good segue, there's questions around United. Another bottling, man. This time in a quarterfinal, you know. I don't know what to say. It's just slow start. Was fatigued. The game changed a bit of gears later on when the 4 substitutes came in, but I mean, I don't know what kind of points did you pick? Let's kind of we'll kind of pick your brain because I find it very hard to kind of verbalize what I thought of the performance. Just
Yeah,
another disappointing
I
performance.
mean, United are probably due a result like this. They've actually gone a
Mm-hmm.
fair while undefeated, but they
Mm-hmm.
just didn't have any zip about them. They were clearly fatigued from the exerts in Milan, and it
Yeah.
was a very noteworthy win. Milan are not exactly playing in the top gear, but they are second in Serie A. Um, so to go there and win, um, I mean, they're not the team that they were in 06, 07, for example, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still
Yeah.
a praiseworthy achievement. And I don't think
Yeah.
they've gone necessarily enough credit for that. But if you're going to give them credit for that, you need
Mm-hmm.
to say that they were not good enough against Leicester. When I saw that goal, that Leicester scored their first goal when Fred sort of lost possession, you just thought, oh god, it's going to be one of those days, and it ended up
Mm-hmm.
being one of those days. Leicester were just up and about, and just you felt that Leicester had more energy, more verve about them. And I suppose,
Mm-hmm.
like for me, we talked a bit last season about Leicester completely falling off when Vardy got injured, and we said that they were a bit better this season to be able to handle it without him. With
Mm-hmm.
Barnes was around at the time; he's not now, and they had more options to score goals. And Iniacho is really turning
He
into
stepped up big time. Yeah.
really stepping up. And it was noteworthy. He was in the third round of the FA Cup. I think they won five. I forget who they played, but they won 5-0. And Iniacho did not play that game. They rested Vardy and did not play Iniacho. And there was talk on the Leicester fan forums about, this is the end of his time. If he can't play this game, when's he going to play? And he's now really stepping up, and he's now starting to show that potential that everybody saw in him at a young age. He's still only 24. It feels like he's been around
Mm-hmm.
forever, like Odegaard.
Yeah.
He's only 24.
Yeah. I think he made his debut under Pellegrini, late in the Pellegrini era with Man City. I think
Oh,
that's
Man
when he
City,
made his
yeah.
debut. Yeah, yeah. So he's been around for a while,
They'd have been like 40,
and
50. Yeah.
24, man, 24. He's young, and he's got a little bit of this kind of.
Yeah.
You can see he's got a chip on his shoulder, but he's a bit humble about it. You can see like he's been looked over at Man City, a little bit looked over at Leicester, and he loved his hat trick the other day. He scored two against United, and he's going to be licking his chops, going like, "I should be in that." I think no, he chose to play for Nigeria, but he's probably going like, when Vardy's gone in 2 or 3 years, I'm the man. I'm the man for this club. We can go win another league. We can think about winning league titles. We can think about Champions League every year, and I want to be the man for it. Because I
Sometimes,
don't think.
sometimes when players getting quite
Sorry,
young. Sorry, so the line broke up there a bit.
no, that's fine. Go on.
Sometimes when players get in a bit young, they can almost take it for granted a bit. But I think
Mm-hmm.
he's come in young, and then he's had some bad times, and he's not taking it for granted. I think he really sees that
Yeah.
that it needs to do the work, but he's getting the results of that work, and he'll know like he's in a team that is as good as any in the league. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's probably his last opportunity at a team like that, because his
Mm-hmm.
next transfer, you're looking at a team like a Wolves, or like like it'd be a significant step down if he didn't make the grade here. So he knows he's
Yeah.
in a sense on his last chance, but he's taking the chance, and well done
See,
to him.
what you don't want is like a Daniel Sturridge situation where he kind of screwed up with all the big teams. Daniel Sturridge was at Man City, went to Chelsea, went to Liverpool, and the injuries, and mostly injuries, to be fair. Apparently, he had a very good attitude about him. Um, would just kind of caught up with him. What you don't want is Iheanacho becoming like a Daniel Sturridge, where he kind of like he's tried his luck at all the big clubs, and you thought the Liverpool season with Suarez was the season, and then he just dropped off because he just injuries, a little bit of bad luck, losing the best striker in the world at the time, really one of the best strikers ever, who propped him up a little bit. So that's what you don't want. But when you have your peers in front of you who've done those kind of things, you kind of look and go like, I'm not going to do that, and I have someone. I have a reference point to, and I can move on from there. I like to see him spearhead Leicester to the FA Cup, man. It'd be a great victory to a league title and an FA Cup in 5 years. That's unbelievable for any club, man.
Oh yeah, that's what fans would dream of. Any club, or any club outside sort of that big top six would, or even
Yeah,
in the top six, Arsenal and Tottenham would absolutely love it. It'd probably only be the big
yeah,
four that would see it as there or thereabouts. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I honestly, even United will probably want the FA Cup. Um, Now coming to United, yeah, terrible. I mean, overall, no, it wasn't even a terrible performance. It was just like meh. And the point for me that really sticks is there's just no depth. The depth. Well, we have a whole bunch of other players who just don't seem to be able to perform at the level that the first 12 to 13 can. And it seems when there's a fast midfield, Matic just can't cope anymore. When there's kind of a penetrating, fast pressing midfield,
Mm.
that's just not the guy for it anymore. It seems mistakes by, you know, if it was not Shaw making mistakes a few months ago. It's Tellers now making a few, just not looking sharp. Donny got a goal, great, but I mean, and the thing for me as well, another thing for me is Greenwood just seems to have regressed a little bit. I wouldn't say he's going to be a good player, but he just
Yeah,
seems to have regressed. You know, just
it's in a
didn't click
difficult
for me.
moment.
You know, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think
So
we
go on.
made comments earlier this season about United having a bit more depth outside that. It seems to, because after that sort of COVID break, Solskjaer just seemed to be playing the same 11 guys week in, week out.
Hmm.
And then they brought in a couple, and Fred and McTominay didn't play really after that COVID break last year. So it kind of felt like there was some depth, but that depth is being found out. Maybe they're not quite as good as we thought that they were. And I suppose the idea of resting Bruno, I can completely understand the overdue decision to rest Bruno because he's almost playing Maguire type minutes, and he shouldn't be for the type of player that he is.
Yeah.
But it does expose other things in the team. It does mean that opposition won't come in without Bruno and Pogba in that midfield. Who is being focused on? You know, it's much easier
Yeah.
to stop a team without Bruno and Pogba in it because you don't have to put
Yeah.
a lot of energy into focusing them, and other players are getting more attention. Like you said, like Matic, for example, as a result of it.
Mm-hmm. Are you cut off again?
Ooh, frozen there. Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell. Yeah, go on. So yeah, Matic.
Oh, and I was just saying, without Bruno Pogba around, it's just players like Matic are getting a bit more exposed.
Yeah, and the last point there as well. I think Leicester would be pleased to have gotten a kind of leg up in United. I think they've been a bit unlucky being the better team in the last 4 or 5 fixtures and
Mm.
not getting a win. So they'd be very pleased with that. Um, and then you look at Man City playing Everton. They did very well to to come in late and win the
Yeah,
game.
you'd feel a bit gutted if you're Everton. If he's lost both cup games, as in League Cup and FA Cup, late on. So I think Gundogan's goal, the first one was in the 84th minute.
Yeah,
It was quite late. City were worth the win, not as
84 the 90th. Yeah,
convincingly some of their other wins, but they were worth the win. But you'd be gutted if you're Everton. If you could knock City out, you'd fancy yourself a chance of winning the cup. And the magic of the
yeah,
FA Cup is that any team will want to take on City, but the reality is City are the team to beat in that competition. And yeah, there's still talk of the quadruple. I think it's a bit early. I think you probably have to wait another month before you start talking about the quadruple. I think everybody
yeah,
just wants to get in first and be the one to say it. But the talk about United
yeah,
winning it only really started after they won the Champions League quarterfinal against Inter Milan in '99. So you can
yeah,
see now, like it's almost as if you can get through January, people start talking about it because they want to be the first one to say, "Oh, quadruple, yay!" But yeah, we'll see where City are in a month. And they'll have a couple of weeks off with the international break. But I think the next couple of weeks when they get back from that and how they get back from that is going to be very important for their chances.
let's go into that talk a little bit. So I'm just going to blindside you a little bit. Let's go a little bit of Champions League talk since we have a bit of time. We talked about three, I think, very standard games. So, I'm sure you know offhand, it's four huge games in the Champions League, Sham.
Yeah,
Madrid,
Chelsea
Liverpool,
quarter's
City,
huge.
Dortmund, Chelsea, Porto, Bayern, PSG. I mean, these are kind of, if you talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 set. Okay, everyone except actually every club, big performances. Um, who can you see progressing? Who can you potentially see winning on a long shot? No, a long shot prediction, not so much on a long shot bet.
Or who do I think is the team to beat in the Champions League?
Well, do you see a surprise in this quarterfinal? And do you see a surprise winner, or do you see a kind of very standard winner?
Yeah, I mean, Dortmund City, you have to give it to City. Porto
Mm,
Chelsea, I'm going to go with Chelsea. Um,
yeah,
what's the other one? Liverpool? No, is it Liverpool and Real?
PSG, Real, yeah.
Yeah, I'd go with Real.
And then you have Bayern PSG, and then
Yeah,
you're Bayern
I
PSG in a
actually
replay
think
of last year.
this is where I think the potential upset is, and I can't believe I'm saying it, but Bayern are a bit fragile at the
You think
back.
PSG?
And I think in competitions like this, particularly when you've got a couple of very special talents up front. I think that
Mm-hmm.
but PSG been trying to find that mojo, and I think that the fact that they knocked out Barcelona so convincingly, I think that I'm not saying that Bayern are going to lose. I just think that there is probably more of a chance for PSG that people might give PSG credit for.
Mm.
Um, they seem to have found that team spirit again. They actually looked pretty good against Lyon on the weekend. They scored early as
Mm-hmm.
well. Like, if you look at Real Madrid winning on the weekend, they won 3-1, great. But they scored, like, their last goal came in the very last kick of the game. There's a
Mm.
difference between winning games late and winning games early. And
Mm.
PSG showed that. And those the way that they celebrated their goals, there seems to be a bit of a team spirit about PSG.
Mm.
Um, Ander Herrera's been Ander Herrera's been very much credited with bringing that dressing room together, which is something he did at
Yeah.
United as well.
Yeah. It's a shame he left, man. Real shame.
He's not someone who wants the credit for it either. He's happy
Mm.
for guys like Neymar to get credit for it, but he's just like in the scenes,
Yeah.
just making sure it all works. Um,
Yeah.
and the captain is Marquinhos is actually quite a good player as well. I think he probably needs to move on actually. To be honest, in
Mm.
terms of getting his status up in stature in the game, but he might just be happy earning his money at PSG. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, there's I got a funny feeling about it, and for all I know, Bayern will win 7-1. But it's I just got to, and
Do you
if
see?
you're PSG, you'd be out for blood as well, wouldn't you? Having lost last year's
I
final.
was just going to say that I think PSG will go on to win to win the Champions League. I don't think it's much of an upset.
All
The
right.
game that game will be an upset. I don't think the rest of it will be an upset.
I
Um,
so did you just say you think PSG will win?
I think PSG will win the Champions League.
Mm.
I think it will be that very. I'm a bit superstitious with football. I think it'll be very. Last year you lost it, the Liverpool style. Next year you go win it. You know, just a bit of revenge. You're driven. Poch comes in, just tweaks it. Neymar's in the dressing room. Neymar signed a new contract today or tomorrow he's going to sign it. You got a good dressing room harmony. Everything seems. PSG don't seem like the villain anymore. Like the villain they used to be. When they lost to United 3 years ago, which was about today, 3 years ago. I think it was the quarterfinal. No, whatever it was. It was the last 16. People went nuts because they were the villain. They're not the villain anymore, and that almost helps you. When Chelsea won it in 2012, they weren't the villain anymore. They were the team that, for some reason, people wanted to beat Bayern. You know, it's Bayern. It's just happened to be Bayern as well. I
Mm.
think Bayern's become a bit of a villain because they're going to go sign Haaland. You know, they've signed Upamecano. They're just
Lewandowski
a
and
massive
Haaland.
conglomerate. In today's world, it's just this massive conglomerate you almost feel. Even though they're a very well run club, the ticket prices are cheap. They're very kind of financially prudent. But I think PSG will go on to beat them. They will go on to beat Madrid, who will beat Liverpool. Um, and yeah, but
The one thing I would say about PSG as well, not necessarily PSG, like Federer needed Nadal, like Ronaldo needed Messi, I think Mbappe needed Haaland. Mbappe's gone up a level, I think, this year. My
you
God,
think
like
so?
I haven't watched but
Oh,
I just
sorry, I
watched him the
misheard
last
that.
month or
Misheard
so.
that.
My God, he is good. I
Yeah,
just didn't realize how good he is. You just sort of
yeah,
accepted that he was going to be something special, but you watch him
yeah,
play. My God, he is good.
yeah. Could we see? I
He's a
mean,
better
could you
footballer.
see?
Haaland's a better goal scorer, but Mbappe's a better footballer.
I don't think there's a better poacher in the world right now than Haaland, and
Yeah,
he's only 21. But yeah, look, Mbappe is he's very interesting because he he's world class. He's everything you want in a striker. But there's something kind of so quiet and low key about him, and it works well because Neymar takes all that shine,
yeah.
and Mbappe
Neymar
just kind
loves
of
that.
does his thing,
Yeah, and
and it
Neymar's
works
used
really
to it
well.
as well because he's the poster boy for Brazil, so he's used to getting dealing with that attention.
And in France, Mbappe's getting low key. Griezmann and Pogba take all that spotlight,
Yeah,
and you have Mbappe just winning World Cups, and they could go on to win the Euros as well. They still have a strong. They have to kind of come together a bit more because they've had a dip since the World Cup. But France as well with Mbappe
Lloris is
leading
sort of
line.
the goalkeeper issue because Lloris was their goalkeeper. I don't think he's
Yeah,
at that level anymore. But apart from that, yeah, they're a quality team.
yeah. I agree with you there with Porto, Chelsea. I think Chelsea are just in a great rhythm right now. Very good rhythm. They're just winning. That's all they're doing. Just winning, not conceding, winning, not conceding.
Yeah.
Doing that very well. However, I think you're right with Man City being Dortmund, but it'd be interesting to see how Haaland performs against potentially his future employer. Um, how he could get the better Ruben Diaz. It's a good side, Dortmund. The problem with Dortmund is that they're very young. They're very, very young, inexperienced side. They have Rios who kind of strings it all together.
Their front
But
four, their
the
front
likes of like
four
Jude
is
Bellingham, yeah,
Royce, Bellingham, Sancho,
Jude,
Haaland. That's as good as any front four in world football. Bellingham's really come along.
and then you also
I
have
think that
Claudio
first team
Reyna,
football has been really good for him.
yeah, and in a quality setup as well.
Yeah.
Actually, you know who's the other guy who plays behind them is Claudio Reyna, who you know who Reyna is?
Oh, Gio
It's
Reyna.
a
Yeah,
really
yeah.
it's a little funny
Adio's
story.
son. Yeah.
Yeah, Gio Reyna. He came in to replace Haaland's father at Man City after Roy Keane did that to his leg.
Oh,
So they
yeah.
have a bit of like family history there.
Claudio
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
there's a story about Claudio Reyna. I think I may have told this one before, but he went to play for Rangers, and his dad
Okay.
came from America to watch him play with the Rangers. But this is before he played his first game. It was like his first training session. He came to watch the
Okay.
first game, but saw training and everything.
Okay.
Claudio Reyna's father rocked up at training wearing all green. And like everybody in the Rangers setup was like, he said, everyone was looking at me really funny. I didn't understand. And then someone came up to me and he goes, I don't think green is your color. I just didn't understand
It's such a
the
it's
rivalry.
such an American thing to do.
Yeah, and Rangers won the Scottish Championship. They beat Celtic on the weekend. There
No,
was
they
a
drew.
wonderful
They drew.
like I said last time. I have some Rangers guys that I work with. They were saying that in the UEFA Cup there was a whole thing with Slavia Prague about the racism.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw
Mm-hmm.
that.
Did you see the video?
Yeah, it's pretty
Oh
horrendous.
my god.
But apparently the player went
He
up to him
whispers
and
in his
just
ear.
like called him an effing.
Yeah, he grabbed his head and just like says it in his ears, call him an effing N-word or whatever it was.
Yeah. So the
I'm
Rangers
like,
and
what are you?
Celtic came together over racism. If you want anything else to show that racism is bad, Celtic and Rangers came together over racism.
I mean,
Like
that's something else, man.
that shows that racism is bad.
Yeah. That's the like in years from now, that will be the mark.
Yeah.
Racism is cured. Um, and sorry, so who do you think is going to win the Champions League then? Do you think PSG as well?
If they get through, against
Yeah,
Bayern, um, I've
yeah,
got I've got a sneaky feeling about Real. Real have done that thing where they start seasons badly and they found their mojo. Um,
yeah,
so
yeah,
and Benzema, like you said, I can't see anyone in Liverpool who can handle him at the moment with Van Dijk out. So I think they'll get
I
through.
mean, Madrid's doing that thing where you're absolutely right. Where like when, especially when Ronaldo was there with Zidane, it's like, when it comes to February and they kind of wake up and they're like, oh yeah, sorry, we got to go win the Champions League. We just
Yeah,
cruise through
like
the
we're in
group
these two
stage.
comps. We got knocked out of this one. We're still in these two. Let's just go win them. Yeah.
We'll come second in La Liga as usual. And who cares? We won the Champions League. Absolutely. It'll be it's a kind of it's kind of a romantic last like kind of a last dance kind of you feel that way for Madrid. I mean, Toni Kroos is 32, Modric is 36, Benzema's getting on a bit.
They wanted
This
to
could
move
be a
Modric
last
on, I think,
dance.
last year. They just couldn't find a
Yeah, they
buyer.
did.
So they may do it
Yeah,
now. So maybe
yeah.
his time. And
He's been
Casemiro's
having a
really
great.
come on. I didn't
Yeah,
see him as a big part of those teams, but he's now becoming a bigger part. He was an important part,
huge
but now
part
he's
of the
a big
team.
part. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Zidane
mean, I
loves him.
just sorry, is it Casemiro?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zidane
I
absolutely.
mean,
And you can see
yeah,
why.
it's not a particularly old side, but the important parts are getting on a bit for sure.
Oh yeah,
Cruz,
100%.
Modric, Benzema. Um, you could argue Varane. Oh, Varane might be in his prime, I guess. But I think Madrid's done quite well. Oh no, he's in his prime. Jeez, he's only 28. Varane's been around for so long.
People forget this,
Uh,
but when Zidane was technical director at Real Madrid, he brought in Varane and Benzema, and everyone thought he was mad. And like, look at what they've done at the club. Like,
I think you're wrong,
good
Sham.
footballers can pick good footballers, eh?
No, he brought in Varane and who? Sorry, who's the second one?
Benzema. He pushed Benzema very hard. It was that year they bought Kaká.
No, 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 no. Am I right? No, I think no, I think your story's a little bit. If I'm not wrong, he was the PSG manager, and Varane had talked to Zidane, and Zidane was like, kind of, no, you got to go to Madrid, not come to PSG, something like that. Are you sure that's what he did? Has
So he
Varane been
played.
around for that
I'm
long?
saying that he played a role in bringing both of them to the club. Young French
No, no,
talents. They were about
yeah,
19.
that's for sure. But I was saying, I think it was a very sneaky move by Zidane because Zidane was working for PSG at the time with Ancelotti.
Oh, and it was. Oh, I'm going to Real Madrid. Maybe you should.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's there was a bit of black magic involved, but it was definitely Zidane for sure. Like who pushed him. He was trying. Oh Jesus, Sham, I think you are right. Jeez, has he been around for? He has been at Real Madrid since he was 18. Varane.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it was that long. No, you are definitely right.
He
Wow.
that he'll have a testimonial next year. Jeez.
Wow. At the age of 29. Fucking hell.
Mm.
Anyway, nice one, Sham. So, as always, good chat. Any closing thoughts there?
No, I think we've gone off around the circles a bit. The one thing I guess I wanted to mention is Atletico. I really wanted to see them win La Liga. I really
Mm,
think they're getting chased down by the two big boys.
yeah.
They've got a head start on them, but they're finding it hard to win. They struggled on the weekend to beat I forget who they beat, but they won 1-0.
Mm,
And Real Madrid and Barcelona won fairly. Barcelona had a thumping win against Sociedad. A
mm-hmm,
We may keep Lionel Messi if we keep playing like this type of win. And
mm-hmm.
Real Madrid have gone through the gears and got a good win as well. So Atletico, I think they're 4 points ahead of Barca and 6 ahead of
Six
Madrid.
ahead of
Those teams are
yeah,
coming. Those teams are coming.
yeah, yeah.
Atletico,
And I guess the problem with them is they don't score very much.
Atletico, yeah, it's built on their
Yeah,
defensive record, and they've been a bit soft in the last few weeks.
yeah. I'm just looking at this. It's so funny looking at the La Liga because you have three Man Cities and the rest of them are the rest of the league.
Yeah,
And then you always have every year you'll always have like two or three kind of rogue teams. Um, I suppose Sevilla's not really, but Sociedad's had many years kind of languishing mid-table, and they've kind of come up with a very young. I think they're the youngest team in Europe in all of the five
Sociedad.
European leagues. Yeah, I think they do.
Yeah,
Very young
even
team
with David
led by
Silva.
David Silva. Yeah, I know he brings the age up a bit, but it's still a very young team. Very good
I
team as
mean,
well.
Real
Yeah.
Sociedad had built a very strong youth policy. Even like Arteta and Xabi Alonso came from that setup. They've got a very good
Mm,
setup at Sociedad. They're a Basque team, so they like that Basque identity in developing Basque players.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, speaking of, Xabi Alonso is about to be announced as the Mönchengladbach manager.
really? I'm surprised
Yeah.
the coach got sacked.
Well, I don't think he's been doing well in the league. Um,
Yeah,
but
but
yeah, he got sacked.
I have no doubt that he'll make a really good football manager. Xabi Alonso, just such a student of the game, and quite a relaxed fellow as well.
I remember my brother saying when back in what was it 28 to 2009, and there was rumors of Gerrard leaving, and my brother said to me, he says, "I don't care if Gerrard leaves. I care." And he's a Liverpool fan, obviously. He said, "I don't care if Gerrard leaves, but Xabi Alonso can't leave. If he leaves, we're done." And they were done. Like they crumbled the next season
Yeah,
because he was just that good. He's so good. And he's that like he's kind of like a Pirlo a little bit, where like there's a bit of a mythology around him of this like very good looking guy, just very casual player. But I think he was much more than that. He was much more. He had the ability to tackle, score goals as well. Very good player. Very much a cog
a
in,
little bit of
not a cog, sorry.
Pirlo and a little bit of Fabinho. Yeah, like
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And he kind of did everything with so much class. Like you would never associate him with it, with doing like he's too good for a tackle, you know.
yeah.
All right, brilliant. All right, Sham. I think we'll finish off there. It's lovely chat as always. We'll take a few week break here for my exams, but I'll see you back in May, I guess.
Yeah, no, it'll be a good. Yeah, good luck with the studies.
We'll get on with the
I'll look
Euros
out,
and
but yeah.
we'll continue from
Uh,
there. Can I get real quick? Can I get an early Euros prediction? You can't say Chelsea because in the European Cup.
oh,
Don't
Chelsea.
say Chelsea.
Yeah, yeah. We mentioned France a bit. I think them or Portugal.
Okay, I was gonna say Portugal myself. That's the easy bet. But you know what? I'm gonna say England because it's England every year for me.
England expects. So it's a great
All right.
generation of players, particularly in the attacking positions.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of really good attacking.
Arguably too a cup too early, but who knows? Anyway, thanks so much. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We are the 5 Year Pass podcast. My name is Suddy. This is Sham. Keep football simple, and as always,
Keep passing, guys. Cheers.
I'm on fire.